This is a comprehensive solution to Cambridge International AS Economics Paper 1-2. Multiple choice. May-June 2023. Question 1. Which factor of production is needed first in order to set up a new business? The answer is B. Enterprise. Enterprise is the factor of production that takes the risk to set up a business, and it is carried out by the entrepreneur who is also the owner of the business. A is wrong, because capital is man-made resource used to make other goods and services. For example, machines. C is wrong because labor refers to the workforce or workers. They do not take the risk of setting up a business. D is wrong because land refers to the natural resources such as crude oil. Question 2. Assuming nothing else changes, which change in an economy's labor market will cause the production possibility curve to shift to the left? The answer is D, an increase in the school leaving age. When the production possibility curve shifts to the left, the productive capacity of the economy is reduced, and less goods will be produced. An increase in school leaving age means that less people will join the labor force because students do not finish school early. Reduction in the number of people joining the labor force will reduce the capacity of the economy to produce and shift the PPC leftward. A is wrong, because an increase in worker immigration will increase the productive capacity of the economy and make the PPC shift outward. B is wrong, as an increase in the retirement age will make more people available to work. Output will increase, making the PPC to shift outward. C is wrong because an increase in labour productivity will increase output per worker and shift the PPC to the right, not to the left. Question 3. What is not a characteristic of a mixed economy? A is the answer. The government has no role in setting prices. The government has a role in setting prices in the public sector. A mixed economy has both the private sector and the public sector. Demand and supply determine prices in the private sector. B is wrong, as the government manages taxation rights in a mixed economy. C is also a characteristic of a mixed economy, as the government would intervene when the private sector does not allocate resources in the best interest of the society, such as earning excessive profits from, say, monopoly power. D is a characteristic of a mixed economy because the government provides those services not provided by the private sector, either because they are not profitable or they require huge finance. Question 4. What is not likely to result from the use of division of labour? All the options except B are consequences of division of labour, either positive or negative. So B is the correct answer because it is not likely to result from the use of division of labour. Division of labour will reduce motivation because of monotony. It will not increase it. Option A is wrong because it will result from the use of division of labour. Division of labour will increase production and reduce average or unit cost, as costs can be spread over a large output. C is wrong, as division of labour increases productivity. D is wrong because it improves the quality of the product. Question 5. Price plays a number of functions in the allocation of resources. Which statement best illustrates the function that relies upon consumer choice, sometimes known as the incentivizing function? B is the correct answer. A price fall tends to persuade some producers not to stay in the market for the good. A price fall indicates that consumers are demanding less of a product. Price signals the producer to reduce supply or leave the market when the price falls. This is one of the functions of price. A is wrong. A price fall results from the good becoming less popular among the consumers, but this should be an incentive to the producers to change their behaviour, not the consumers. C is wrong because it states the law of demand, not a function of price. D is also not a function of price, but the consequence of a price rise. Question 6. Which pair of products are substitutes both in consumption and production? D is the correct answer because spinach and cabbage are substitutes. They can replace each other in both production and consumption. The producer could either grow spinach or cabbage. The consumer can either eat spinach or cabbage because they are both vegetables. A is wrong. While the farmer may either grow cotton or barley, they are not substitutes for the consumers. B is wrong. Gold and silver may be related, but they are not close substitutes in production. In fact, they may both be used together as components in producing some items. In this case, they are complements in production. Also, gold cannot be easily substituted for silver in industrial use because it is rare and more expensive than silver. But they can both be demanded by consumers as substitutes for investment purposes. C is wrong because soap and toothpaste are not substitutes. They are unrelated products. Question 7. There is a worldwide shortage of oil. The diagram shows the consumption and production of oil, billion tons, for selected countries. What can be concluded from the diagram? C is correct. In Russia, there is no shortage of oil because production exceeds consumption. Rather, there is a surplus. A is wrong. Oil does not have a zero opportunity cost because it is limited in supply. Only goods or resources that are available in abundance have zero opportunity cost. These goods are called free goods. B is wrong. Japan is not self-sufficient in oil as it consumes oil but does not produce it. It imports it from other countries. D is wrong. Consumption exceeds the production of oil. It is not rationed but imported from other countries. Rationing can be used by the government only if there is a severe shortage of a good. Question 8. The cross-elasticity of demand between bus travel and rail travel is +2. A rise in the price of bus fares caused the demand for rail travel to rise by 10%. Which change in bus fares would have caused this? The correct answer is A, from 20 cents to 21 cents. Using the formula for cross-elasticity of demand, percentage change in the quantity demanded of product A divided by the percentage change in the price of product B. The cross-elasticity of demand has been calculated and it is +2. The percentage change in the quantity demanded of rail travel has been given as a 10% increase. This is +10% because it is rising. It will be -10% if it is falling. We don't know the percentage rise in the price of bus fares. We will represent it by K in the formula, so substituting, +2 is equal to +10% divided by K. When we cross-multiply, we have 2K equals to 10%. Dividing both sides by 2, we have K is equal to 5%. Therefore, the percentage rise in the price of bus fares is 5%. We will calculate the percentage increase in prices for all the options. A is correct because the percentage increase from 20 to 21 is 5%. Question 9. A change in the price of a good causes an increase in the quantity of the good demanded. What would be the nature of the good and the direction of price change for this to be certain to happen? The answer is C. Price falls for a normal good as the quantity demanded increases. The keywords are certain to happen, meaning it must always be true. The normal relationship between price and quantity demanded is inverse. As the price decreases, quantity demanded increases. This is always true for a normal good. We can explain the normal price-quantity relationship for a normal good using the substitution effect and the income effect. When the price of a normal good falls, more of it will be purchased because people will switch from a relatively expensive good. This is known as the substitution effect. The second effect is the income effect. When the price of a normal good falls, consumers tend to have more purchasing power. That is, they can buy more quantity than before the price fall. This is called the income effect. Overall, both the substitution and income effects would add up to increase the quantity of a normal good demanded as a result of a price fall. This is why C is correct. The other type of good is inferior good. For most inferior goods, the normal law of demand is applicable. A fall in price would increase the quantity bought, but there is a special type of inferior good known as Giffen good. This does not obey the law of demand. As the price falls, the quantity demanded falls, and as the price rises, the quantity demanded rises. The answer cannot be A or B because not all inferior goods show a normal price-quantity relationship. There is no certainty it will be an inferior good, but it is always true for a normal good. Question 10. A specific tax is placed upon each bottle of perfume sold. In the diagram, S is the supply curve before tax, ST is the supply curve after tax. Which area represents that part of the tax revenue paid by producers? The answer is B, the rectangle PQUT. This is the share of the producers of the tax burden. PRWT is the total tax paid to the government. Consumers' tax burden is QRWU, while tax per unit is WT. Question 11. The diagram shows the supply curve of a firm. Which statement about the price elasticity of supply, PES, along this curve is correct? D is the correct answer. PES rises when the supply rises. The flatter the supply curve, the higher the elasticity of supply. Option A is wrong because PES can be less than unity, that is fairly inelastic. B. PES is not the same at all points along the supply curve. C is wrong because PES is inelastic when the price is low, but more elastic when the price rises. That is, the higher the price, the higher the PES. Question 12. The diagram shows the market for electric cars with X as the initial equilibrium. What will be the new equilibrium when the price of electric car batteries falls and consumers become more environmentally aware? C is the correct answer. The price of electric car batteries forms part of the cost of production because they are components used in producing electric cars. A fall in the price of electric car batteries will shift the supply curve from S to S2 because more electric cars can now be produced since cost of production has fallen. The second factor, that is consumers becoming more environmentally aware, affects demand. The consumers would buy more of electric cars due to less pollution than cars using fossil fuels, for example gasoline. The demand curve shifts to the right from D to D2. The new equilibrium is where S2 and D2 intersect. This is C. Question 13. What would cause a market disequilibrium? B is the answer. Market disequilibrium occurs when demand and supply are not equal. Market disequilibrium can either be a surplus or a shortage. There is a surplus when producers are unable to sell all their products at the current price. This is also known as excess supply. A is wrong because a decrease in demand shifts the demand curve leftward, thereby causing an intersection with the supply curve at a lower point. This leads to a fall in price, but there is equilibrium as demand and supply are equal and intersect, leading to a lower price. C is wrong because a decrease in supply shifts the supply curve to the left, leading to a higher equilibrium price. D is wrong because a decrease in supply shifts the supply curve leftward, causing the equilibrium price to rise. Question 14. In the diagram, area OP1M1Q1 is equal to area OP2M2Q2. What is the value of the price elasticity of demand if the price is halved from P1 to P2? A is correct. PED is -1. At P1, the total expenditure is the area of rectangle OP1M1Q1. When the price falls to P2, total expenditure is the area of rectangle OP2M2Q2. Since the question says that both rectangles are equal, it means that total expenditure, hence revenue, remains the same after the price change. This means that the elasticity of demand is unitary, that is 1. For unitary elasticity, the price change and quantity change remain the same, and revenue remains unchanged after a price change. For example, a 10% fall in price raises quantity by 10%. The downward movement in price nullifies the upward movement in quantity. Question 15. The table shows changes in a consumer's expenditure on various goods when her income increases from $20,000 to $24,000. Assuming all else remains unchanged, for which goods is the consumer's income elasticity of demand greater than 1.0? D is correct, Z only. The income elasticity of demand is greater than 1. It is 1.2. YED is calculated as percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in income. For Z in option D, percentage change in quantity demanded is equal to 248 minus 200 divided by 200 times 100. This gives 24%. Percentage change in income is 24,000 minus 20,000 divided by 20,000 times 100. This gives 20%. Therefore, the income elasticity is 24% divided by 20%, which is 1.2. The YED for W, X and Y are less than 1. W is minus 0.2, X is 0 and Y is 0.6. Question 16. Which combination of government measures is most likely to increase the consumption of a merit good? A is correct. Setting an effective maximum price on the product and paying producers a subsidy. A maximum price is the highest price at which a product can be sold, and it is below the equilibrium price. A merit good is usually underconsumed and underprovided. A maximum price will make merit good affordable and increase its consumption. Also, subsidy increases the quantity produced. B is wrong because an indirect tax will reduce the quantity produced and make it difficult to afford due to a rise in its price. C is wrong because a minimum price is above the equilibrium and it will reduce the quantity consumed. D is wrong because both minimum price and indirect tax will raise the price and reduce the quantity consumed. Indirect tax also reduces the quantity produced. Question 17. The table contains some figures from the balance of payments account of the United States, US, for a given year. What cannot be concluded about US trade from the table? The correct answer is D. There was an overall current account deficit. The overall current account balance is the addition of the balance of trade in goods, the balance of trade in services, primary income and secondary income. Primary income and secondary income were, however, not given or known. A is wrong because exported services were valued at $710,566, which was over $477,428. The balance of trade in services is exported services minus imported services. Therefore, exported services are imports plus balance of trade in services. That is $710,566. B is wrong because imported goods were $2,374,101, which was over $1,632,639. Balance of trade in goods is export of goods minus imports of goods. Therefore, imported goods are export of goods minus the balance of trade in goods. That is $1,632,639 minus $741,462. That is $1,632,639 plus $741,462 because minus will be plus. It will give $2,374,101. C is wrong because exported services of $710,566 were less than exported goods of $1,632,639. Question 18. Which change is shown directly by the use of aggregate demand and aggregate supply analysis? B is the correct answer. The price level is shown directly on the ADAS diagram. The two axes are price level and real GDP. Number 19. Why might aggregate demand increase when a country's price level falls? The answer is A. Domestic interest rates will tend to fall. A fall in price level means less money is needed to pay for goods and services. This will reduce interest rate. A reduction in interest rate would increase consumption and investment because borrowing cost is lower. This is the interest rate effect. B is wrong. A fall in price level would increase the demand for exports, which have become more price competitive. This is known as the international effect, but imports become less price competitive, not more price competitive. C is wrong. A fall in price level increases the purchasing power of income, which is the real income. Real income will not fall, but rise. D is wrong, because a fall in price level means that inflation rate is falling. Therefore, the purchasing power of savings increases. The purchasing power of savings, that is the quantity of goods it can buy, falls when the price level is rising. Question 20. What is used to convert nominal GDP to real GDP? B is the correct answer. Changes in the price level. Real GDP is GDP that has been adjusted for inflation. Changes in the price level affect the inflation rate. Other options are wrong, as they have nothing to do with inflation. Question 21. The diagram shows a basic two-sector circular flow of income. What can be concluded about the direction of flows? The correct answer is D. Resources flow anti-clockwise. In a circular flow of income diagram, resources are provided by households to the firms. They flow anti-clockwise in the diagram. Resources are the factors of production: land, labour capital, and enterprise. And they are made available by households in the factor market. The firms obtain these resources from the factor market. So the flow is from the factor market to firms. Anti-clockwise flow in the diagram. A is wrong because income from consumer expenditure flows from households towards the firms that supply the goods in the product market. This is a clockwise movement in the diagram. B is wrong because goods and services move in an anti-clockwise direction from the firms through the product market to the households. C is wrong because income flows clockwise, not anti-clockwise, either from households to firms for payment for goods and services bought, or from firms for payment for factors of production provided by households. Question 22. The table shows the types of unemployment and their possible solutions. Which combination is not correct? A is the correct answer. Technological unemployment can be solved through training and education on new relevant skills, not minimum wage legislation. B is wrong, as raising government spending will increase aggregate demand, and solve the problem of cyclical unemployment. C is wrong. Because the solution to frictional unemployment is the provision of information by advertising job vacancies. D is wrong because retraining workers would reduce structural unemployment. Question 23. Which combination of policies would be most effective in reducing a balance of payments current account surplus? C is the correct answer. A current account surplus means inflows from its components are more than the outflows. A decrease in tariffs on imports would increase imports. Increased imports would increase outflow of money from the economy. This would reduce the surplus. This is yes. Devaluation reduces the value of a currency and makes exports cheaper and imports more expensive. As a result, exports will increase while imports will decrease. There will be a net inflow of money into the economy which will increase the surplus. This is no. An expansionary monetary policy would increase spending and make more money available for imports. This will increase outflow and reduce current account surplus. This is yes. Question 24. If a country is experiencing a period of high inflation, which groups will benefit the most from this? The correct answer is D. Inflation reduces the value of money. Companies that export the majority of their goods would record lower sales to other countries. As prices of their goods have risen, they do not benefit from high inflation. This is no. Fixed income earners suffer because prices keep rising, but their incomes remain unchanged. This is no. Borrowers or debtors gain during high inflation as they pay back money with reduced value. This is yes. Question 25. What will definitely change a country's terms of trade? 1. When the price of imported raw materials increases. 2. A change in inflation rates. 3. An appreciation of the exchange rate. The answer is C, number 1, and number 3 only. Number 1. An increase in the price of imported raw materials would increase the import prices and cause the terms of trade to fall. This is a change. A change can be a rise or a fall. Number 2. A change in inflation rate may increase both import and export prices by the same percentage, leaving the terms of trade unchanged. It will only change if it affects only one of imports and exports. Number 3. Appreciation raises export prices and lowers import prices, causing an increase in terms of trade. Therefore, only 1 and 3 are certain to cause a change in the terms of trade. Number 26. The world consists of 2 countries, M and N. The graphs show their production possibilities for wheat and rice. Countries M and N operate on their production possibility curves, and before specialization, country M produces 60 units of wheat and country N produces 30 units of wheat. What will be the change in the world output of rice if both countries decide to specialize according to comparative advantage? C is the correct answer. It will rise by 5 units. A country has a comparative advantage if it can produce a good at a lower opportunity cost than another country. The graph for country M shows that it can produce either 100 units of rice or 100 units of wheat if all its resources are used. The opportunity cost of producing a unit of wheat for country M is 1 unit of rice it has to forego. 100 divided by 100. Country N can produce either 75 units of rice or 50 units of wheat if it focuses on just one product. The opportunity cost of producing every unit of wheat for country N is 1.5 units of rice sacrificed. 75 divided by 50. M should only produce wheat since its opportunity cost of 1 is lower than 1.5 for country N. N should specialize in rice production. If M produces 60 units of wheat before specialization, it will produce 40 units of rice. For every unit of wheat it produces, it gives up 1 unit of rice. To produce 60 units of wheat, it would give up 1 times 60 units of rice. That is 60 units of rice. If it gives up 60 units, it will produce 40 units of rice. For country N, it gives up 1.5 units of rice for every unit of wheat. For producing 30 units of wheat, it gives up 1.5 times 30 units of rice. That is 45 units of rice sacrificed. From a maximum of 75 units of rice, only 30 units will be produced. That is 75 minus 45. The total output of rice before specialization is 40 plus 30, which is 70. If they specialize, the total output of rice is 75, the maximum that N can produce. Therefore, the world output of rice after specialization will rise by 5 units, that is 75 minus 70. Number 27. The diagram shows the current equilibrium of an economy. The government introduces a contractionary monetary policy. What is the most likely outcome? A is correct. A contractionary monetary policy reduces aggregate demand from AD to AD1. The price level falls, which means inflation rate has dropped. Real GDP fell from Y to Y1. That is, the output of the economy reduces, indicating less investment by firms. Number 28. A government wishes to reduce the deficit on the secondary income section of its current account. Which policy would be most effective? D is the answer. A reduction in overseas aid donations. Secondary income comprises current transfers. That is the flow of money without anything being received in return. They are not for productive services. Overseas aid donations are transfers going out of the country. Reducing them would reduce the deficit on the secondary income section of the current account. A is wrong. An increase in subsidies would increase exports. Exports are part of the trade in goods. B is wrong. An increase in tariffs would reduce imports. Imports are part of trade in goods. C is wrong because the wages of migrant workers are part of the primary income accruing from productive activities. Number 29. Supply-side policies can be used to correct cost-push inflation. Which policy would best achieve this aim in the long run? The answer is D, supporting the replacement of labour-manned machines by the use of robots. The initial cost of using robots may be high. In the long run, cost drops owing to increased productivity. Larger output would be produced to cover the cost, thereby correcting cost-push inflation. A is wrong. Trade unions would add to labour costs through their activities. B is wrong. Encouraging workers to work extra hours for extra pay would increase the cost of production and cause cost-push inflation. C is wrong. Increasing total labour supply by employing more unskilled workers would add to labour cost without a corresponding addition to productivity. Question 30. Economic growth leads to increased levels of income and consumption per capita for the adult population. Which circumstances are needed for this to happen in an economy? B is the answer. An increase in economic efficiency through higher productivity of factor inputs. The income per capita for the adult population is income divided by the adult population. It is the average income for adults. Consumption per capita for adults is consumption divided by the adult population. It is the average consumption of adults. Higher productivity of factor inputs would increase output for every unit of input. This will increase income accruing to each adult. Increased income per adult would increase consumption per adult. A is wrong. If technology maintains the same level of output, income and consumption per adult would not increase. C is wrong. Progressive taxation takes a greater percentage of income in tax as income rises. Paying higher tax rate reduces disposable income and consumption for each adult. D is wrong because a rise in the number of immigrants would increase the unemployment rate, reduce average income and consumption for each adult.